Good evening. It's a tremendous honor to be named among IDC's 2020 Congressional Champions. I appreciate all the work that In Defense of Christians does, advocating for the rights of Christians and all others who are under threat in the Middle East. I especially want to thank Tufik Baklini and the rest of IDC's leadership team for their efforts. I've been privileged to speak at IDC Summit in the past and wish we could be together again this year. However, I believe the fact that we are still committed to participating in this meeting, despite the myriad challenges brought by the current pandemic, is a testament to the importance of your work. While we each navigate the impacts of the current health and economic crises, we cannot lose focus on our ongoing efforts. I've been open about the importance of my Christian faith and how it's guided my actions throughout my time in Congress. In the United States, we are guaranteed in our Constitution the right to practice our faith, though that right is under some threat. But in some places in the world, simple expressions of religious belief are punished by death. So we must all stand together firmly for religious freedom. Last year, I took on a new role as co-chair of the International Religious Freedom Caucus to advocate for the protection of religious liberty for all in every corner of our globe. Our caucus wages this fight in Congress every day. We continue to work closely with IDC on many issues. First, I want to speak to the many Lebanese Americans listening today, especially to those viewing from Lebanon, about the dire situation facing our brothers and sisters and that beautiful, geopolitically vital country. In the wake of popular protests from all sects and religion, a reaction to kleptocratic oligarchy and the systemic elite-driven corruption that crippled the Lebanese economy, I advocated this year to the administration for the use of sanctions against political figures who've been enabling Hezbollah's malicious influence on life in Lebanon. And I'm proud that the Treasury Department has recently adopted part of this strategy. The well-being of a strong and sovereign Lebanon is in the national interest of the United States and critical for the well-being of the wider region. We must create the conditions for international community through institutions like the International Monetary Fund, the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, to stabilize the economy and nation's security. With newfound urgency in the wake of the horrific blast in Beirut, and in keeping with the calls of the people of Lebanon, we must support the emergence of a transparent, democratic, and technocratic government capable of preserving the nation's irreplaceable diversity and pluralism, a beacon of hope for the Middle East. In northern Iraq, the scars of the ISIS genocidal war on Assyrian, Chaldean, and Syriac people are still raw. The U.S. and our allies have broken the ISIS hold on the region, and efforts to rebuild and resettle displaced persons are slowly growing. I was proud to help my friend, Representative Chris Smith, introduce the Iraq and Syria Genocide Relief and Accountability Act of 2018, which was signed into law. To date, the U.S. government has spent more than $350 million to help religious and ethnic minorities in northern Iraq restore their communities. But today, much of Mosul, once a vibrant city echoing with the sound of church bells, remains in rubble. We must ensure that humanitarian funds reach the people they are intended for, and the U.S. continues to encourage ally partners to join us in this critical work. We must also remain vigilant, as increasing tensions between Iran and the rest of the world create more uncertainty for the region, including for Christians hoping to build peaceful lives in the region. Iranian allied factions of the Popular Mobilization Forces, for example, have threatened and harassed displaced persons, hindering rebuilding efforts in Bartella and elsewhere. While we confront these evolving concerns, I continue to have faith that Christianity will endure in the Middle East because of the efforts of the IDC and because of the increasing concern by my bipartisan colleagues. Over the years, I've been proud to work with you and with members of Congress from both parties to alleviate some of the fear and uncertainty for our brothers and sisters in the Middle East. For example, I was one of the original co-sponsors of a resolution introduced by Representative Jeff Fortenberry in 2015, naming the ISIS atrocities against Assyrians, Yazidis, and others for what it was: genocide. And as I already mentioned, we've ensured that hundreds of millions in humanitarian aid is provided for survivors of these atrocities so that minority communities in Iraq can rebuild. This Congress, I was proud to build on that work by co-sponsoring HRES 259, which underscores our priority of supporting the safe return of displaced people to the Nineveh Plain and Sinjar, to their ancestral homeland. I also helped to introduce HRES 296, which affirms the U.S. record on the Armenian genocide, and I was proud to vote for the resolution when it passed the House. A declaration that the U.S. rejects denial of a genocide. It will continue education to prevent similar atrocities. I am an original co-sponsor of HRES 49, which recognizes that Copts and other Christians have been targeted in Egypt and urges the Egyptian government to make serious reforms. All of these legislative efforts have been possible because of your tireless advocacy. This ecumenical alliance is invaluable to the fight for religious freedom in general, and the preservation of Christianity in the Middle East in particular. Thank you for continuing to remain vigilant when human rights are infringed upon, for keeping us informed when violence erupts, and for helping us build support for these critical efforts in Congress. I remain united with you in a steadfast commitment to the preservation of Christianity in the Middle East. By supporting minorities in the Middle East, we strengthen peaceful societies in the region, which will ripple into a more peaceful world where all may freely live in faith. Thank you.